TitleMatchNetwork.com.
What are your favorite opponents and some of your favorite matches?
Favorite matches, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, of course, was always one of my favorites. It was similar styles, big brawlers. We didn't have to worry about wrestling, basically. You know, it was just a big brawl. Anybody I was brawling with, Dusty Rhodes was easy because it was just it was his basic. I mean, he was basically just in the ring. You just work with him. You know, he just does his jazz. But I mean, he was so over at the time. It was just you walk out there and the people were just crazy for the whole match. You know, usually 90% of the time you take it with a big elbow drop. You know, pin you. But just that. Bruiser Brody. I had some really good matches with Bruiser Brody. Same reason because of style wise, it's just easy style. I meshed right with him. You know, probably the hardest matches I ever had. George the Animal Steel was hard to work with.
Why is that?
I don't know why. Just his gimmick.
Huh.
Because he had to beat George the Animal Steel, you know, he was the gimmick plus he was just stiff. He was a real stiff worker. I ain't the lightest worker in the world, but he was like really stiff.
Huh.
I don't know if he was doing it on purpose or not, but I just didn't Ultimate Warrior, I didn't care much for him as a worker and as a person.
A lot of people say that. A lot of people say he was the shits in the ring. And I guess I heard a story about Andre, took him on the side and kind of taught him, how to sell and stuff.
Maybe he did. I just didn't. As a person, you know, I look at people as people. You know, we're in this business, and if you show me respect, I'm going to show you respect. But Ultimate Warrior, he just didn't seem to respect anybody. You know, he demanded his own dressing room like he ain't good enough to dress with us. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't come around. You know, Hogan at least come around, hey, brother, how's it going? How you doing? He'd at least come around and shake your hand, if nothing else.
Right.
Ultimate Warrior, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't even come around in the dressing room. And,
huh.
You know, and every night was the same. You know, you're going to go out there for 30 seconds. He's going to hit the ropes a dozen times and give you the couple of big shoulder blocks, you know, and pin you.
Right.
You know, I just didn't like it.
What about favorite rib stories? Any ribs that stick out?
I wouldn't know ribber myself. I mean, I've seen things happen to guys. The Bulldogs were really bad about it during WWF days. Nothing happened to me personally. I seen them do things, you know, like they took Terry Taylor's dress pants one night and cut them off. You know, to me that's not funny. You hurting somebody's personal property. You know, they thought it was hilarious. Taylor didn't even put it over. He just put them on and walked out. You know, like he didn't even put it over. I seen them. We used to have that old Australian guy, Outback Jack, I think was his name.
Is that when they handcuffed him or something?
Well, they did that. They glued his hat on his head one time. They put glue on the inside of the rim and put it on. They glued his hat. We had this little midget working with us at the time. They used to call them Halcyons, H-bombs.
Right.
They'd bomb people. You couldn't leave a cup around because they'd bomb you. You know, you could kill somebody. They bombed this little midget. He passes out. They shave one of his eyebrows, stuff like that, you know. They thought it was hilarious. They never bothered me on anything, and I didn't bother anybody. I just wanted to go to the ring, you know, do what I had to do and go about my business, you know.
Right. What was your happiest time in the business?
Happiest time probably was earlier in my years, you know, like I said, Mid-South, Florida, Charlotte, all them times are probably my best times. Then when I got to WWF, it started out all right, but then it just slowly went downhill after that.
What about your favorite bookers or promoters?
Favorite bookers and promoters? Booker-wise, if you mean finishes and things like that, probably Dusty was probably one of the best ones because he'd always take care of his talent. Bill was pretty good at it. He'd always have good finishes a mile long. I mean, it was like forever on the finish. But he was always good taking care of his talent. Like if he went around on the circuit and put the guy over, the next, you know, he'd crank you back up on TV and then you'd go around and, you know, he'd put you over, you know. It's always good. But promoter-wise, Paul Bosch probably because he paid money. I'm talking money-wise. Payoffs, Paul Bosch in Houston probably was one of the best promoters, you know, money-wise. Besides Vince, I mean, of course, Vince was number one money-wise, you know. If you was working with Hogan or on top, you know, in shows, he'd pay you the best. But at that particular time, Houston probably paid the best, Paul Bosch.